Rate of 27.1% at the end of last year. South Africa has much to gain from the venture capital industry, which not only encourages business development but enables entrepreneurs to expand their businesses, driving employment and opportunities. That's according to Tanya van Lill, the CEO of the South African Venture Capital Association, and she joins me in studio now. Thanks so much for your time on SABC News. So what's your premise, the premise of your case study on venture capital easing unemployment in South Africa?
Well, when we look at venture capital, they not only provide capital, but they also provide expertise to the companies that they invest in. So they come with the premise that they want to grow these companies. So if we take one of the case studies that we presented at our conference recently, Sweep South, the company received investment, and from this investment, the venture capital company came in and assisted with strategic guidance. They assisted with market growth, and Sweep South itself grew their employee base from 2 people who were the founders to over 40 people that work within the company. That's not even considering the domestic workers, over 8,000 domestic workers that they've been given opportunities to just through this one company and this one platform. So we really see venture capital as a catalyst for growing job opportunities in the economy.
So what has your venture capital survey found when it comes to VC-funded businesses growing outside of the example that you gave? What elements need to be there for that investment to happen and for that growth to happen?
Well, firstly, the company needs to be one where the founders are really interested in terms of growing their company, because they are going to give us some of their equity in the with the fact that a venture capital company is going to come in and assist them and guide them and give them strategic guidance. And what we found in our research is that a lot of the companies that have received venture capital investment grow at a more exponential rate, because this capital injection, this expertise injection, the strategic guidance really helps this company grow much quicker than would they do that at their own pace.
There's a perception, I think maybe more overseas than here, that venture capital is a more risky way of investing. You don't need as many checks and balances if you're going to get VC funding than perhaps if you're going to go to a bank. How does that differ from perhaps private equity funding, or is it much of a muchness?
So venture capital in South Africa is still growing. It's not as a mature industry as you would find, let's say, the banking sector or even private equity. Private equity invests more in larger growth kind of organizations. When a company is already established, lots of revenue growth, where venture capital is more early stage kind of funding, when a company is still in the early stages, have some revenue, but really needs a lot of guidance in terms of growing that company. So there's about 9 trillion rand or 9.4 trillion rand in assets being managed in South Africa. How much of that is just VC? Do you have an indication of that? Well, if we look at the SAVCA members as an example, we manage over 180 billion rands of assets under management. So it's still very small in comparison to the amount of assets under management in South Africa. And also, if you compare private equity and venture capital to other global markets, we're still fairly small, but there's a lot of potential for growth.
And then of that, let's say 180 billion, do you all have numbers of black VC firms? Because that's also an issue of the financial sector not transforming quickly enough.
And we also found that at SAVCA. In 2017, one of our strategic focus areas was transformation and the role that we can play in helping the industry transform. There definitely is a need for more black and female-owned fund managers. It's not only black in South Africa, specifically in private equity and venture capital. We need to see more female owners and fund managers in the industry. And for that reason, SAVCA at its conference recently launched a fund manager development program that will help black and female fund managers in terms of just getting out of the gates and having that assistance in terms of the first 18 to 24 months of the fund process to help them with getting their fund up the ground.
So what issues would have to be looked at in terms of that, and also in terms of getting more concrete numbers and concrete ways of saying, if there's 180 billion rand that is in venture capital, we don't really know how much is owned specifically by black people. How are we going to be able to change that, and how are we going to be able to work that and give these black and female fund owners the assistance that they need?
So if we look at the private equity and venture capital industry, if I look at the SAVCA membership, I would say about 20% are black and female owned fund managers. However, we want to use that and grow that percentage base. We've seen a lot of innovative, interesting fund managers being established recently that are mainly black and female owned. So we really think that that is a space that can grow and grow further. So we need to measure it, we need to provide more guidance and support, but we also need institutional investors who are willing to back the new black and female owned fund managers, because they don't necessarily have the same track record as some of the more established fund managers. So we really need more investors to come to the party and take risks on these new fund managers.
Tanya, thanks so much for your time on SABC News. Tanya van Lill, the CEO of SAVCA, speaking to us about their findings, unemployment and transformation.